I'm really trying to figure out where you're going to weigh in on this one, because obviously the president has to look after the interests of all the citizens of all religions.
Well, actually, I don't think that he is going to be having a hard time at all, Charles, in the sense that that argument will stand. Say, for instance, we don't look out for the rights of persons in prison in the same way that we look out for the rights of people that are free. So, you know, if a person says, okay, now, well, what does that mean? It means that there are different things that we consider in this country that are inalienable rights, and now all of a sudden we're trying to redefine those things. That's really what the argument is about. I don't think it's civil rights at all. So what do you say to that?
Well, I disagree with you. I mean, you and I want to make sure we come back to the studio. We are totally, you know, on different ends of this one from a standpoint of we are a country of rights. I think it's the same thing as the civil rights movement. I think it compares right up with it. And then I see these black preachers going against it, and so many people fought so hard. I mean, let's just go back a few years. Can we come to the studio? Let's just go back several years. When we had is it legal to, for interracial people to get married? It's kind of the same issue.
Well, it may be to some people, but then that's where we're actually going to have a divide in our country. The difference between civil rights and homosexual marriage is that these preachers that you're talking about, they actually have a biblical standpoint that all men really are equal as far as having the rights to vote and all those different things that blacks and whites should have equally. But when a preacher starts talking about civil rights and then goes over to homosexuality, well, the book that told him things were correct for civil rights tells him it's wrong, grant the same kind of liberty.
But we're supposed to be definitely separated from, with church and state. I mean, we should have that separation where this really shouldn't come into it. People's rights should come into the play.
Well, and that's, I realize that too, that
it's the same argument that you don't want the Pennsylvania County Board of Supervisors telling you what to pray to.
That's true. And so I'm saying I give in one point that sooner or later we're going to have to recognize in our nation that we have a secular government and we have religious people. So you can't let the government tell you what to do. The people are going to end up having to decide where they are, and then they choose to be governed by that. And so right now, I think that, to me, Charles, I think that our society is still weighed a little bit on the side of we should continue to let the religious position sway the way we're going to vote, and then the government has to give in. Now, it's going to change, and it's going to demonstrate, I believe, that we do not have a government that is a Christian government. We have a secular government, and it's swayed depending on how the people feel. Right now, the people are more religious. In another 20 years, I really think unless something changes, the people are going to be less religious, and our government is going to become more secular as we go, much like Europe or whatever. But right now, I don't think it is.
Well, why are people's feelings changing so much on this gay issue? They say it's turned 20% in the last 10 years.
Okay, I didn't hear what you said on the gay issue, did you say?
The gay issue is turning. In other words, it's still a lot of people against it, but they say that 20% of people have changed their mind about it in the last 10 years.
Well, to me, the answer is because of the way people are religiously. People are not, and I'm just going to name one of your clients here to give you a demonstration. You have the difference between, I can't think of his name now, Crosspoint Church, and then the more fundamental churches. That's the exact dilemma that we're in. When you start saying anything is okay, then all of a sudden people will start voting that homosexuality is okay. But as long as you have that fundamental, what they call a fundamental, and to me it's not fundamental, it's just basically really going by what does the Bible really say. And those people are dying out, Charles. I will agree. They are dying out. And unless our country has a revival, then it is going to be in 20 more years. It'll be more than 20%. I guess you said 20%, correct?
Yeah, and a lot of people see this as the next civil rights fight. This is going to go to the Supreme Court and Mayor Broom. I think it's Mayor the New York mayor, I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah, let me talk. You're talking about the one that is in power right now?
Yeah, I can't. His name is not on the tip of my tongue, but he spoke in North Carolina yesterday, and he said that America is a country of rights and equal rights, and that after the fight, usually we go toward the right side. In other words, from the standpoint of equality for everybody.
Well, here's what's going to happen on this one, Charles. This is what I believe is going to happen. We're going to have states that choose to differ from the rest of the government. And this one, and here's why, Charles, from a biblical standpoint, homosexuality is like the tippy top of the abomination in the Bible. Basically, what the Bible says about that is when the nation gets to that point, then the nation is at the point where God says it can no longer be used by him. Now, all Bible students believe that, and so that's why I think that this is going to be the issue that either turns our country or our country will end up just like Europe. It'll be a country that's totally secular, and, religious people will just be kind of off to the side trying to live their own life and make it to heaven and not really affect government.
Right. I got to ask you this, Johnny, because this is what to me you got to give a long, deep thought to. And I know you're going to say biblical principles. But if two women who love each other want to live with each other the rest of their lives, it hurts God, but does it hurt anybody here on the planet?
Does it hurt anybody?
Yeah.
To remove a moral luring always hurts us, Charles, because once you remove a taboo, then another thing that was a taboo.
Wait a minute. A taboo because it's not normal? Because not everybody does it?
Well, let's just say this. I mean, we can say the same thing about a man who wants to love a 11-year-old.
No, come on, because we all know that 18 is the established age for adults, and most people around here play by the rules of that. You got to wait till you're an adult before you can really have mature sexuality.
Now, where did you get these rules, these established rules and all that? See, we voted them in, and what you're actually doing is you're saying, let's remove...
No, I didn't say anything about removing that. I just think when you have two people that want to share the rest of their lives together and be on their own and go on their own corner and do what they want to, I don't see how it affects anyone in a bad way. I think love is always a good thing.
Well, that's the same exact argument, though, that I just made to you, but you rejected it because you have established rules in your mind. You're saying, I want established rules for 18 years old. I want to keep that as an established rule, but I want to erase this other.
I think that you've got two different situations there, and you're trying to muddy the waters with that issue.
Well, I think that's what you would say when you want to get your way. It's the same thing. It's an established rule that you like, but one that you're saying that you don't like, and you want to erase.
You're good, but
I just
disagree with you. I think it's two separate issues, but I enjoy arguing with you because you do it in such a good spirited way. I mean, I think you're. You and I just are on two different sides on this one.
And to me, Charles, that's the way it ought to be. I'm still fine with these other preachers too, in the sense that I don't hate them. I feel like, we need to do more discussing, and the problem is everybody leaves the room when you and I discuss.
I bet you there is one thing that we can agree with, and that is the fact that the church has done more to rip up, embarrass, humiliate gay people than any other force out there. And if you talk to most gay people, they don't believe in the church because they feel terrorized by it.
Well, for that matter, you talk to a great segment of society and they don't believe in church because there's so much hypocrisy. But see, that's where my argument always comes in, Charles. The church I'm in is not the church that everybody else is in. I believe all these others are counterfeits, and they don't deal with the homosexual community the way we do. Who stood up to the Phelpses when they came into this area? Nobody but us.
Yeah. To
me, that ought to demonstrate that we're saying we're different, and we're not going to let persons like the Phelps. And did you know that 60 to 70% of the denominational people in this area actually hold the same position that the Phelps do?
I hear you. All right.
I can prove that they call it depravity, total depravity, and they believe that if you're a homosexual, that's proof of total depravity.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay, but can we agree on the established church that we have in the world now makes gays probably just a token for they can make people feel awful and so forth?
I think that they ridicule them without basically dealing with what has taken place. To me, homosexuality is nothing but a further going down the line of somebody who's living together out there. Now, have you ever heard anybody say that?
Well, number one, gay people can't get married, so they're cursed, right?
Well, I say, though, what it amounts to, though, it is when, and this goes back to my original argument about removing the moorings, moral moorings, is once you start allowing different things to take place, you just continue to move along that scale. And
no, I think you're trying to say that gay people are just like, too kinky or too, I think you have a mixture of all in the gay community. You have people that go way overboard, just like in the heterosexual community. But just because two people the same sex have sex, I don't think it.
Charles, I'm saying a person who leaves his wife and basically takes up with another woman shouldn't be trusted in any area. You know why? Would you trust me, Charles, if I did you like let's say, like, for instance, a man does his wife, who's supposed to be his best friend, he's in business with her, everything that they've done together, they've done as a company or a pair, and all of a sudden he cheats on her. I think that's the low-downest thing that you could do, and if I did you that way in business, you would never do business with me again, but yet people can do that in a marriage contract, and all of a sudden, it's no problem. I think it is the most horrific thing that you could do is to divorce your mate and take up with another person. Now, see, our community, our society doesn't look at that, but God does. He says you'll never get into heaven if you do that.
Right. I just think we live in a world where if you prohibit two people that want to love each other that right, then I don't know. It doesn't seem fair.
Well, I have a problem, really, when I hear you say that yet you formally said that if somebody wanted to love, what is the least age that you would let somebody love somebody?
Good job, Johnny. Wow, Johnny comes back with a punch. All right. I think 18 is comfortable. That's the age I'm comfortable with, and I think it's the one that most people are comfortable with.
Well, I have relatives that were married when they were 13, and I would say that everybody who's 50, at least 50, can remember that were married at that age, and nobody thought a thing in the world about it. I'm talking, heterosexual.
Right. Well, Gallimore proved that it's okay in Virginia. All right, man. I appreciate talking to you, Johnny.
Okay.